Very good morning, FYI family. Today is Thursday. It's the 22nd day of August already, believe it or not. We're happy that you guys are here with us. You're coming on this morning. Let's do the housekeeping right away. You're coming back to watch us. You're included as well. So share the live for us. Smash that emoji button. It's a beautiful day in the national capital city. The weather is fine outside. Don't know if it's going to hold though. Oh, it was hot yesterday afternoon. It started off cool like this, but it was hot, 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 hot. And I know those of you in the diaspora must be saying, we all know heat yet down in GT. You all don't know heat is yet, but we take it for what it is, folks. We take it for what it is. That's why we live in foreign, because we can't even take this heat here. Good morning to each and every one of you from the many places you all are joining us from. Great to have each and every one of you here with us. It's another day, folks. It's another day. We intend to keep on keeping on. Enid and Bunny and all the other folks who are joining us this early in the morning. Some folks already out to work, in the process of getting to work, or perhaps you're leaving work right now to head home. Good to have you, Deborah Pearson, Andrew Griffith. Good to have each and every one of you, all the usual suspects. Good to see you folks out and about with us this morning. Great to have you folks here. Yeah. We're going through to all the pages. Well, not all, but we're going through some of the pages. If you see us pop up somewhere close by you, share the live for us, folks. Smash the emoji button as well. We got a couple things. We have a couple things to get through. Then we get out of your faces, so you guys can go ahead and have a fantastic rest of the day. Good to see so many of you on already. Mark and Orwin Don and Lynn Fernandez and all you good folks. Good to see you, Lionel Simon, Marilyn Thomas, Beryl Crawford, all you good folks. Great to have each and every one of you here with us today, folks. A little far from the coffee. We're gonna bring the pot right here. What's ups? Lucille Kendall, good to see you. Emily Durant, good to have you as well, Emily. How you doing, Emily? How you doing? You know who I haven't heard from a long time? Your partner, Emily. How is she doing? Norcy. Marcia Egar, good to have you. How is she doing? Miss Lane, Rhonda Lane. How is Rhonda doing? Haven't seen Rhonda in a little while. Gotta give her a call. Pretty Milicia, Abira. Yep. Rhonda's one of our strong supporters. Yep. Tessa, good to have you there. Gisela Riemann, faithfully, good to see you there. Abira, Marlin, Mark, Ingrid, Sherma Roberts, good to have you, Sherma. Tommy Gibbs, good to see you. Good to see you as well. 200 folks have already joined us on the live this morning, folks. Welcome to our humble broadcast, FYI, for your information. Humble broadcast and all that. We get a little extra on these parts. If you're new to our show, Tommy, good to see you, Tommy. Marlon Thomas said, I done share. Pretty Militia, Toys and Fun Time, good to have you on the live as well. Debbie Collins, Euclid Lambert, good to see you there. What kind of toys and fun times are these? Do let us know. Do let us know. Enid Dufreitas from Syracuse, New York. Wow. Syracuse? I've never been to Syracuse. You're going to invite me. You're going to invite us, Enid, to Syracuse, New York. Folks, I love the diaspora. All of it. I love it. When I go to the USF, I feel energized. I feel fired up. I feel ready to go. You can take on the world and succeed. That's how I feel. And you come back here and whop. Yeah, that's it. We're good to see all of you. Seeing all of you who are from the diaspora on the live energizes us as well. Believe it or not. Jolly Anderson says, good morning to her tubers. Good morning, Dolly. Right back at you. Vashi Pollard is here. All the other folks joining us too. We see you there. Vashti, Mark, Dolly, Mark, Royal, Gloria. Gloria Fraser, how are you doing this morning? June Cameron says, we outside. Good to have you, June. So many of you write to us in all these fancy text styles and font styles, rather. All these fancy font styles. Sherman Roberts says next time please visit us in Maryland. Yes, 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 yes. Sherman, good to know you're in a good place. Good place. Maryland. Good to have you on the live this morning, Maryland. St. Romaine Adams is here. Eon is here as well. And some of the other folks joining us. Debbie Collins is here too. You know, Debbie Collins is here too. Good to have some of you on the live this morning. Orwin Dawn, good to see you there. Audrey Stevens, good to see you as well, Audrey. Chinogny Leash is here too. Good to have you there, Chinogny. All the other folks. Leslyn, safe head up. Yeah. We're going to do a t-shirt like that. An FYI branded t-shirt. A fed up. Dan Abrams, good to see you there. Good to see you there. Dan Abrams and all the other folks who joined us. Brenda Moore, Sabrina Blue, good to have you as well. Oh, what a day it was yesterday. As you know, good folks, beautiful folks, as we begin. The first 15 folks. The first 15. I like how they did this graphic. I feel international. You see this graphic. It feels so international. Oh, we got a fantastic graphic artist who help us out. You know, he's well paid, well compensated. I know he's listening to us this morning. Well paid and well compensated. You know, we got a thing that we got to do everything for free. You know, we've had to be able to sustain this program. We've had to develop a business model to do it, to sustain our programs, to sustain credible sources, period. We've had to develop a business model. This is how we're going to do it. And though we struggle, we're coming to come. All businesses struggle. So, y'all don't bother with we. We are coming to come, and we try to be good stewards of the little finances you guys send to us. We try to be good stewards of that. You know, and we got our own dreams and our own vision of where we want to take this. We like to see it in its own space that we own, a building of its own, a housing of its own for our studios. We'd like to take this more shows during the course of the day, during the course of the week, during the course of the weekend, streamline things a little better, a little more professionally. So we're constantly thinking, tinkering, tweaking as we move forward, folks. And we're so glad for all of you who've joined us on this journey. In a month or two, in November, it's going to be 4 years we're out here. You know, when you start these things, you don't think 4 years from now, I'm going to write, hey, you take the days as they come. You know, you get up every day and you think, what are we going to do today? What are we going to do tomorrow? What are we going to do the following day? Ideas for content, issues that are happening out there that we want to cover. We can't cover them as detailed and in depth as we want because we just don't have the resources. Financially, we don't have the personnel as yet. And it's like a chicken and eggs situation. You need the finances for the personnel. You need the personnel for the finances. So we're coping the best way we can. And so we're going to continue to encourage you folks as far as possible that you support the work that we do here. You know, if you have to buy a newspaper every day is $60, $120 papers, it might be more expensive than that now. We subscribe to Sabbath News, for instance, online. That's $12,600 every 3 months, I think it is. We do it in those installments. We subscribe to a number of things to help us to collate some of the information we share here on a daily basis. You got apps for that, and you got to pay on a monthly basis. You got to pay for the lights. You got to pay to rent the space. You got to pay for the internet. That's what we do. We'd be happy if we could do it for free. You know, we got, as Freddie K. Soon said sometime, rich black businessmen, bankrollers, buy my suits and all. We wish that. We wish that you could have a couple of folks say, hey, take this and run with it. The issues, the places, the personalities, we could cover in these programs. So we get in there. We get in there. 4 years in, folks, we still out front. You know, we throttling up, not down. When we throttle down every now and again, you know, so that we can keep going. You can't drive the car in fifth gear all the time. We're good to have so many of you on the line. Yesterday, one of the things we did, we sat down and we spoke with the General Secretary of the Ghana Teachers Union, Greta McDonald, but some of what's happening there, some of what happened yesterday that took a lot of people by surprise. A lot of people were shocked. Told you guys last evening, a teacher I spoke with yesterday afternoon, beautiful teacher, said to me, when she heard what had transpired and what the union had settled for, or at least the president of the Ghana Teachers Union, Dr. Mark Light, she felt it was August 2020 all over again. She felt it was August. You all know what that mean? You all know what that mean? When she said that, it hit something in my psyche. At least up until then, I didn't realize I was repressing it. When she said, it reminded me of 2020. And then she said, August 2020. Right? The thing opened the vault and let it all water well up in my eyes right away. When she said that, water welled up in my eyes right away. Listen to some of what the General Secretary of the Ghana Teachers Union, Greta McDonald, told us yesterday as we spoke. Some of what she told us. Take a listen, please.
I don't really know what happened today. What I know is that there was a general council meeting that was hurriedly called at 6 o'clock in the morning. A message was sent.
This morning?
No, not this morning. Last week, Friday, 6 o'clock in the morning, a message was sent. And we know that according to our rules, and the rules is what everybody keep harping on. Even Barajagio is harping on the GTU's rules. And the rules indicate that meetings you're supposed to have 7 days notice for meetings. If it's an emergency meeting, then you must have a day or two notice for that meeting. And so with 6 o'clock in the morning and then for 10 o'clock meeting, quite a lot of our reps were not there. But let's fast forward. After our rejection last week, we were supposed to have met and to meet with our members to get from them whether they agreed to this downsliding thing. Because I know if you're going to negotiate up. But we had a downsliding thing here where you were going 8, 10, 8, 9. And before we had 7, 6 something, 7, 8, whatever it was. But this is not good math. And I know the government usually boasts about how good they are at math. And this math is not math thing. However, today we turned up there for the continuation of where we left off last week, only to recognize, coming to the end of the meeting, that there was a pre-meeting where the decisions were already made that today an agreement is going to be signed based on the trickery that passed at our General Council meeting, where the president there sat there and took General Council down a path that did not reflect what was actually being discussed at those meetings. There are still many, many issues coming out of our proposal that have not been directly addressed. And for the president to come there to cajole people, not even giving our General Council members the opportunity to touch base with the regular members in their branches, it's very unfortunate. I can say to you today is a sad day in the life of the GTU, in the lives of our teachers across this country. It is sad in the faces, and it's a slap in the faces of so many men and women who stood their ground for this union, which is over 153 years old. To have seen today, a day when we were supposed to be standing up for the members who we took oath to represent, that the union has been divided and the president took it upon himself to sign off or to sell out, let me say that, the teachers of this country. I feel very, very, very disappointed for my colleagues on the Essequibo Coast who stood out there for 75 days. The victimization that was meted out to quite a lot of our colleagues on the Essequibo Coast. And I'm focusing here on the Essequibo Coast because that's where most of the victimization took place. I am disappointed and saddened for our teachers in Kwakwani, in Regions 1, in Regions 9 and Regions 8. I know my brother from Region 7, from Barticle, representing Region 7. He was there championing the cause for the teachers there, Upper Maz, the teachers who live in those areas and have to be spending huge sums of monies. And here it is, you're taking 10% without even recognizing what inflation is, and what 10% would mean in dollar figures to our teachers. When we look at what inflation is and you subtract that from 10%, you're actually getting 5.5%. How much is that in dollars to our teachers? And the majority of our teachers fall into the group where they will not receive anything much. I know there has been lots of talks out there where you have the Vice Barjaglio coming out there to talk about duty-free concession, trying to deceive people like he would normally do into giving the impression that teachers all across the board are receiving duty-free concessions, which is not so. The housing revolving project, it will only be for a certain amount of teachers for a number of years, because every teacher will not receive that. The only two conditions in that agreement that all teachers will benefit from across the board is the salaries and the clothing allowance. And even with the clothing allowance, our children were given $45,000 and teachers are being given $15,000. But you expect teachers to dress moderately and to dress like teachers. But here it is, you're giving them $15,000 to get themselves ready for school. We spoke about a risk allowance, a $10,000 for a health risk allowance. And you know what the ministry did? The ministry said they cannot afford that $10,000 for teachers. But teacher, but they can afford to have outreaches, health outreaches across the region. Now that wouldn't benefit teacher. That would be an outreach for everybody living in a community. So it doesn't speak to teachers, and we're not here speaking about other sectors of workers. We are the teachers' representatives, and we are speaking on behalf of the teachers.
Yeah, that is some of what Coretta McDonald said to us yesterday, and we're so grateful she took the time to sit down with us. And that's another part of this, when union leaders want your help to publicize their protests and to give it coverage and so on, it's readily available. And then when these intense moments and the negotiations and the life of the union happens, you can seem to find everybody. It's quite strange. So we are happy that the General Secretary of the Ghana Teachers Union took the time out yesterday to talk to us. That's very important. Very important to the work the media and influencers do as well. Whitney Doris, we see you guys there. Rena coming, was following it in the chat. Y'all are very vocal this morning. Very vocal. Tenagni, Tommy, good to have you there. Rena comments, we see you comment there. Good to have you on the live this morning, Rowena. That's just one of the things we're following this morning, folks. But as we get into it, as we get further into it, so the Ghana Police Force had its annual police force youth camp, the annual police youth camp, and kudos to the police force for pulling young people together and trying to put some structure into them. That's important. A part of growing up. I went to so many camps growing up. Ain't regret none of it. Ain't regret none of it. Put some toothpaste on a couple people. Had some people try to put toothpaste on me. If you don't know what that is, don't worry yourself too. Don't worry yourself too much. Mischief making one evening at the camp. Did some mischief at a dorm and running back to the male dorm, tripping some tree roots and oh my God, give myself some white tea. I think that was God giving some feedback. Jacqueline, Debbie, Trevor, Jacqueline, Debbie, Trevor. I see Trevor Mitchell says low audio in New York. Low audio in New York. Is that the same issue all of you guys experiencing? Low audio in New York. Let me see if we can pull it up a little bit at our end. I got to shout a little bit more. Low audio in New York. Vanilla Garnett, Shamilla, and Mark, and all the other folks. Diane. Mark says, don't forget the shoe polish. That too. That too. right? If you never went to camp, no. You never went to camp, it's not too late. You know, I like when you go to places like the US and you see their idea of camping. Fred Mason says, loud out here, American idea camping is like the Marriott to a short time. It's like the Marriott to a short time. The idea of camping, you know. Well, we can, and it's still done like that, you know. Y'all went to the AOG camp. I know people go to Adventist camp. Number of different camps happen this time of year, and you know it's a good experience. I'm happy. I'm happy. My mother trusted the folks with me. You know, went to camp a lot of places. Linden Suicide Highway. You ever went to camp at Goshen? Huh? Jem Isaac says, audible in New Jersey. Well, if New Jersey could hear me, we being heard. Went to camp at Goshen. Went to camp at President's College. Yeah. I've been around, you know. Some of y'all think we just drop out here. We went all the time. I went camping. Yeah, and even on the Linden Sussex Highway, went camping on a number of campsites there. Oh, we got a beautiful country. You got to see it. So, congrats to the Garen Police Force held their annual youth camp, themed molding and developing youths for the future. That's what we got to do. That is what we got to do. It attracted over 100 participants, 10 to 16 days. That's not easy, you know. Young people in a confined space. Ages 10 to 16. Did I say 10 to 16 days? Ages 10 to 16. You know, even for a weekend, you could be pulling your hair out. You don't know, you got kids. One child, you know, we got our young guest is with us, and he's like 5 turning 1, doesn't sit still. He's very energetic, very curious. He's like 5 turning 1. You can imagine 100 children one weekend. You got to be so careful. The safety of people, kids, going down for a dip at those creeks or to fetch up water, traversing that highway, walking down there, you know, children around the body of water, you got to watch, you know, the noise, the the different needs, moderation too, right? Our young son, he moderation, you said about other people, child. You can recognize in your own child is a different thing. He moderation. trying trying to get a hand on him. So kudos to the Ghana Police Force. They got a couple positive things the police force doing, you know. But then tomorrow they can do something that wipe away all the. You forget the camping. You forget that they're crossing some old lady over the road. You forget all that, and you just see. And you hear 50 million get found in a policeman's office. He said, he's been saving him money, wedding gifts and so on. Wipe away all of that. But kudos to the Ghana Police Force for this effort, because we understand how important simple activities, quote unquote, simple activities like this could be in the life of a student, right? In the life of a child. We understand it. That being said, folks, the Minister of Education went down there to Manchester to supervise the rehabilitation of the Manchester Secondary School, I think it is. A good effort in and of itself. We saw that. Bushlot Secondary in Region 5 got some issues we can be talking a little bit more about. Bushlot Secondary. Parts of the walls missing. Zinc sheet on the roof flapping. And it's ordinary wear and tear. The school in Bill yesterday, somebody just going to kick out. Ordinary wear and tear, but Ministry of Education, where rehabilitation, repairs are concerned, they seem to be stuck a little bit that 4 years in, Bushlot Secondary doesn't seem to have gotten too much of attention at all. Bushlot Secondary has not seemed to have gotten too much attention. So we just want to alert the minister We're not accusing anyone of anything as yet, but we just want to alert the minister because maybe like 11th Street in Dazzle Housing Scheme, you may have missed it, right? The 11th Street in 22 Streets, you may have missed it. Right? Never mind the lady who made a complaint about the streets in Dazzle and got the ministry's attention to come and to do some work there. Never mind 11th Street is her street, right? But some other people live on that street too. So maybe like that, Bushlat has been missed. So we just want to alert the minister, right? The concerns. Residents of Bushlat, the school, seem to have been overlooked for some much needed repairs. Much needed repairs. Kudos to the work happening at Manchester. That was one of the headlines this morning. Kudos to the work they're doing there at the Manchester Secondary School, I think it is. This one to be accurate. Yeah, Manchester Secondary School, right? This is a $20 million project expected to benefit 183 students, and it's being carried out by JR Engineering Solutions. The Manchester Secondary School, kudos, a lot of upgrades. Bushlat, so don't forget us. Don't forget us. That's what Bushlat said. Don't forget we. Dolly, Leslie, Tracy Clark. Just want to post a little sticky there for a minute. Don't forget Bushlat. A little sticky there. And of course, all the folks are out there saying all that they're doing for the Indigenous. Again, I say, Irwin and Rondo and Brian and Mia Miller, we're not hearing from the two shows themselves. I thought this is about the two shows coming together to point a way forward for their communities, right? Talking to each other, right? And kind of mapping out how they. I thought that's what they're doing here. All you hearing from is the government. Sheila Boy, tell you hear from any two show yet? Leon Logan, Reno Cummins. Have you heard? This is the two shows being brought out from the hinterland for the government to talk to them. It's a government to show confab. It's a government to show confabulation. That's what's happening there. Heard from the Minister of Local Government, spoke for a long time. Very uninspiring personality. Sonia Parag. 13 billions invested in Indigenous communities since 2020. But they're feeling it. They're feeling these billions. When we were in Letem early on this year, you see all of these carbon credit programs that they're claiming to be running. We spoke with one of the persons integrally involved in those programs. And the programs riddled with corruption, riddled with, and if they are doing like a project or something, riddled with defects. Of course, people trying to cut corners. You're supposed to buy 2 packs of cement, they buy quarter. And they mix the rest with mud and all kinds of things. A lot of problems, and that whole process there needs its own independent audit. Perhaps said over 13 billion given to Indigenous communities. You know why? What they're really saying here is, I better be grateful. Look what we're doing for y'all. We didn't hear from the Indigenous yet. Mark, you heard from anybody? Waveney, you heard from a Tushao? Tracy, Zola, you heard from a Tushao? Jilly G, have you heard from a Tushaos yet? I didn't hear from any Tushaos yet. Sadly. So 13 billion, according to the Minister of Local Government, given to communities indigenous community since 2020. And then Zulfikar run out. Zulfikar says 1.1 billion more being invested into hinterland agriculture. Sonia Parag said Tushao. Kyo Zulfi said Tushao. How is only them doing all the talking? At this confab that's supposed to be Tushaos, exchanging ideas together. How comes the government be seeing all the time? All the time. How come? Thorne, Michael Reed, how come? 1.1 in agricultural development. Coming soon. Q Zulfi said. It's coming soon. It's coming soon. Sheila Baiche said he didn't see it to show talk yet. He didn't see nobody. And then Robson run in. Robson said to show. Huh? I didn't know Robson is a to show. Air front talk, everything under the sun. Monday when he went there. Jagdio followed up on Tuesday. Is the whole scamp net now? Gotta go and say something here. They could have covered these issues in the presentation. Is the whole scamp net gotta go there? Now he's encouraging Minister of Home Affairs, encouraging leaders to urge our youth to join the discipline services. When people see what's happening in the GPF, the Ghana Police Force, is that inspiring anybody to go and join? But there was Robeson yesterday, urging indigenous leaders to let young people come and sign up, be part of the discipline services. Urging. Maybe the discipline services got to carry an outreach there. If they're so desperate for recruits, maybe they got to pick up themselves. Stop walking foot to foot behind Air Fund, right? And do the work of recruitment. That's what got to happen. That's what they got to do. There's where they need to go. That being said, see Pauline come out. She's condemning opposition actions to what she said, disrupt the National Two Shows Conference. You know? Pauline run out the gambling den, flick over and get a script, and she come out. The Honorable Vincent Henry was trying to be disruptive. Vincent is Indigenous. Why he can't hear what Two Shows in his community are discussing at the National Two Shows Conference? He's a member of Parliament. Member of Parliament. And Sukai came out saying, oh, she condemns the opposition attempt to undermine, her words. Two Shows not being given the space to talk. They can't think for themselves how the people talking all the time. They can't hear themselves think. She's saying, it's Vincent trying to undermine things at the NTC. Well, folks, we sat along with Vincent Henry, the Honourable Member of Parliament, quite recently. Here are some of the things Vincent told us. Take a look. Take a listen to what Vincent, the Honourable Member of Parliament, Vincent Henry, told us yesterday.
The last two Shows elections that were held, March, April, May, we saw the People's Progressive Party making all efforts, to ensure that the persons they wanted to become two Shows were elected. So they campaigned rigorously. They spent a lot of resources, financially and otherwise, to get their people into the two Shows positions in their communities. But unfortunately for them, in many instances, the people spoke otherwise, and many of their candidates that they had put forward were not elected to Tushaw's position. And that is because the indigenous people are always differentiate between what we will call general and regional elections and their Tushaw elections. They do not want to have that mixed up because of it will end up in a case where you have political parties, fighting for position in the community in terms of having a two-shot position, and that does not augur well for the indigenous population and our future. Um, then it is a case where the People's Progressive Party also knows very well, and I think all Guyanese would know that at every election, the results were pretty close, and as such, the indigenous population is being seen as the balance of power, who could bring in one or two seats, maybe three seats, and that could, put a government into being there for the next 5 years. And as such, the PPP will want to have total control of the whole process leading towards the elections, and also over the lives of the indigenous people. So yesterday, when I went to the NTC, I went there because of several reasons. One, I am a member of parliament. Two, I normally represent the people of the hinterland, including the indigenous people. I am indigenous. Then also, the Amerindian Act distinctly says that Amerindians are welcome to attend those meetings. Of course, there is the fact that the Arthur Chung Conference Center is not very big and to take in a lot of people, but I'm also I'm also a member of the Parliamentary Sectoral Natural Resources Committee, and so in the afternoon the minister was making his presentation on natural resources. So I normally sit at those meetings, and I would raise issues, I would raise proposals, and all for the betterment of my hinterland, my indigenous people. And as such, I felt that it would be very correct for me to go there and know what is happening, the situation on the ground in the various communities right across the country, and be able to make further representations on their behalf in the future, of course. And so I went there and I registered at the front desk, and I was given a tag. I signed my name, and I was told where to go and sit. And I went up, and I didn't look around to see who were there with. I just walked to the place where I was told to go, and I sat. And when I looked around, I was in the company of ministers of the current government, who all who, who looked at me with surprise. What am I doing there? Well, I said, well, I'm here to represent my people. I was even asked if I was there to make trouble. I said, no, representation cannot be trouble.
Good trouble, if anything.
Yeah, so eventually I sat there and I heard the minister's presentation. Pretty good presentation, I must say that. And then it was getting into question time. And once the questions began, someone came and told me that I was wanted outside. A friend is waiting for me outside. In fact, another MP with an urgent matter, and I should go and meet with him. I immediately suspected that they were trying to get me out of the Arthur Chung Conference Center.
Even by deceit.
So I text the MP, what is the problem? Text me, what's the problem? He never responded till 2 days. Yes, not today, last night he responded. He wasn't around there. So I knew something was wrong. And then afterwards, a worker came, one of the assistants came and told me that I am an imposter and I shouldn't be there. So I took out my ID card, my MP's ID card, and I showed them. I said, I don't want to see that. I am there impersonating somebody and things like that. So I said, well, I'm not moving because I am who I am.
An imposter is a member of parliament, an indigenous member of parliament at a national two shows conference. Wow.
Yes. And then they said, well, okay, you'll have to move. But in the meantime, the proceedings were getting what Guyanese would term hot, because the minister mentioned how there were certain communities that he would like to meet with afterwards. He would want to meet with them because they have problems. I think about 6 or so communities. And when he said that, a, a number of other villages said, no, we have problems too. There's a plethora of communities, one after the other. And you could have seen visibly that some of them were embarrassed. Not the people, the authorities were embarrassed when that began. So I knew that, hey, they're going to come for me to get me out of it, out of this place here. They're going to
Could you tell us some of those issues that were being raised?
they, well, one community, I can't remember exactly, but I could give you a clipping of it. One community mentioned that they had applied for extension to their land, and that they were expecting it to come true. But when they got information of what has happened there, they were very worried because there were a lot of mining concessions already granted on the land that they had applied for. And they didn't want to be in a situation like what's happening in Chinese landing and other places. And they felt that they need to correct that almost immediately, because they would end up in lifelong problems afterwards. And 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 as such, others began to talk, and they stopped it and say, okay, they will put them in groups, etc., etc. And when that was happening, they were trying to get me out because it was getting hotter. And then eventually the Chinese landing issue came up, and the representative spoke and spoke very well. In fact, all the two showers who spoke there, they spoke very well. They were eloquent, and they were onto the real, points that they had to make. I was very happy to be hearing them. And I was mentioning the Chinese landing leader spoke, and it was a sad case of what was happening with the people who really own these resources there and not being able to utilize it just to get a livelihood, their daily meals, etc. So it was sad.
And you said, well, all that was happening, they're trying to get you out.
Yes.
What does that mean? They had different members of staff come maybe and try to encourage you
to...
Yes,
they tried to trick me first. And then they came with saying I'm an imposter. Of course, I'm not who I am. And then they stopped after the Chinese landing issue was raised. They stopped the proceedings. I saw them whispering, and I know they were planning something. They stopped it, and then the police came and asked me to leave. And I told the police that if there's a problem, let's discuss it here. He said no, he wanted me outside. Well, the law is the law. We have to obey. Um, I explained to him who I am and thing. He said, "Well, he is not there for that. He has been instructed to get me out of the facility," and that is where I left. But the whole thing, Sherrod and Indigenous people, is that I have been elected to represent my constituents, and my constituents are the people of the hinterland. And again, by law, I am an indigenous person. I am of Arawak descent. I even mentioned in Parliament, well, in the article, a sentence, a greeting in the Arawak language, Halika Jakuba, and you could see I'm visibly an indigenous person. But they didn't want a person like me, because of I normally question and raise issues, etc., to be there to hear the problems, the plethora of problems that our people are being faced with, and to later on make representation on their behalf. They didn't want that. They wanted that they would be able to, after the conference, say everything was rosy and everything was lovely, no problems, etc. But there are multiple problems out there, and this government I am sure they do not really want to solve those problems. So it will be upon our shoulders to ensure that those problems are solved. It will be on our shoulders to make sure that the Amerindian Act is revised. It will be on our shoulder to make sure that land titling is completed. It will be on our shoulder to make lives become the lives of the indigenous and the hinterland people and Guyanese as a whole become better. And we can do it regardless of all that they try to do to me. We will still be able to stand up and represent our people. And that is what we are here for.
Yeah. That was the Honorable Member of Parliament, Vincent Adams, and I love that our greeting. I love that our greeting. Sabrina Blue and Fennel and Lucille and Yvette, Mark and Chanel. That our greeting to me sounded like Ali is a Jagabat. That's how it sounds to me. Abira sounded like Ali is a Jagabat. That, Laverne, Robin Kendall. That's the situation. So Pauline run out saying, after she wants to undermine. You hear how the rumor mill is got this spin doctors. The man simply went because he has an interest in his community. He has an interest in his leaders. Right? He went there and they put him out. Good morning to all of you. Alisa Jagabat. Tessa. Sabrina Jacobs. Mark. Alisa Jagabat. Morning to all of you. Diane said they're the devil himself. It's true. Brenda Moore. Brenda Gale. Ali Cock. Alisa Jagabat. Mia Miller. Mia Miller says, imagine non-Indigenous people are kicking out Indigenous persons out of the meeting, which concerns Indigenous people. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. This country mix up, upside down, heading in the wrong direction. Henry Rodney, Alicia Jagabat, Zola Cameron, Honorable Camille McKenzie said chicken is 300 or 600 a pound. Wow. Good morning, Pauline Sukai, Alicia Jagabat. Good morning, Pauline. Alicia Jagabat. Yep. Zola Cameron. I see Klangron Sertima. Klangron Sertima. Auntie Sandra Hanover. Desiree Albert. All the other folks on the live this morning watching us. Good to have all of you here with us this morning. Moving on, folks. Moving on. We got to get to it. Running up to program time. Interesting editorial this morning. And very, very interesting editorial. There's where we're starting. I'm kind of on the edge of an editorial. Send a letter to the editor first. But a very interesting editorial. In today's Starbuck News, I want to leave this with you all for homework. Here is Starbuck News says in its editorial. Interventions that attempt to control and have a negative impact on people's ability to determine their direction of their lives, including decision-making on matters that affect their rights and interests. Right? Let's run that one more time by you. Starbuck News editorial today. Interventions that attempt to control have a negative impact on people's ability to determine the direction of their lives, including decision-making on matters that affect their rights and interests. That's number one. Making redress to Indigenous people for decades of neglect cannot involve any venture to mastermind, manipulate, or monitor. It's all three. The two. Vincent, all three. The government claims, Starbuck News editorial of today, that it is doing everything in the Amerindians' interest, including consulting. But is that really the case? Starbuck News asks. How does vilifying the Amerindian People's Association, the APA, rank with that outlook? This is stuff. This is not a new nation. It's not the key. Is it because they often disagree with the dictates of the government? Sabak says there are other questions that arise. Whose decision was it to locate the secretariat of the NTC in Georgetown? Whose decision was that? Did Tushaus all vote aye on that? Why is it necessary to always have the NTC conference in Georgetown? Did Tushaus also vote in favor of this? This Sabak News editorial asked. Or was it presented to them as a fait accompli? What about if the hosting was rotated among the various regions rather than having to fly everyone to Georgetown and pay their accommodations? The funds could be spent in a different region every year, Sabak says. Just imagine the infrastructure, or rather the infrastructural, the economic development the host region or village would benefit from each year, both in preparation for and during the conference. Surely that would be in the best interest of Indigenous people, not so? Yeah. Sabak News. I'll close the quoting of the editorial with this. All over the world, the editorial says, it has been the tradition for centuries that leaders of villages of the First Nation people have gathered for their powwows, had their discussions, and made their own decisions. In these modern times, they should also be able to invite whoever they wish, whoever they please, to make opening remarks, including powerful Indigenous leaders or climate change experts from around the world. There is absolutely no reason why a politician should always fill this slot. Self-determination, Sabak News says, not micromanagement, is the way forward. How's Sabak News sung there? Self-determination, not micromanagement, is the way forward. That's Sabak News editorial today. Yep. Sabak News editorial. And that's been the National Tushaus Conference. Tushau, Romario, Hastings. He's from the indigenous community of Keiko, not to be confused with Keto. Keiko. And he has called for constructive dialogue between the government and indigenous people. Is he, Romario, abusing out every day and cussing out? He's one of the Tushaus. Why? Because young Romario in towing the line with them. How dare Romario have an independent thought? How dare him construe things in his own deliberate judgment? Out for him. And the young woman who spoke out recently, I was referring to her. Yesterday's program, I think it was. Daniela. She said, what's the purpose of this meeting if indigenous people can't talk? I mean, you do talk, they're abusing you down. What's the purpose? What's the purpose? Romarian says, constructive dialogue is needed between the government and indigenous leaders. And PP think they're doing everything, you know. Why should Romario be upset with us? Why should he disagree with the direction we're going? Because we're humans and we can agree to disagree and disagree agreeably. Please and thank you. The APA, who Sabak News just spoke about, the Amerindian People's Association, They said Irfan's speech at the NTC distorting history. Irfan by now should have left history alone. This was the fella. This was the fella who said Afro-Guyanese came to this part of the world for betterment. Yeah. I thought by now he would leave history to the historians. But he don't learn. He ain't taking learning. He is not taking learning. Sigamak wading into indigenous history now. Leave this to people who study it, like Professor Emeritus Maniz, forgetting her first name. People who study the thing, leave it to them. Stay in your lane, Irfan. Stay in your lane. Not he. Not him. He gone back. He gone back. The APA criticized his speech for inaccuracies in depicting indigenous people's development in Guyana. Ali claims that the NTC's establishment and annual convening were solely the PPP's achievement. That is being disputed. Say this lie like when horse trotting. The American People's Association has emphasized its pivotal role in initiating the first NTC in 2003, a significant milestone in promoting indigenous self-governance. This come and thief your thing and tell you stay on. How many projects for the Apnu AFC then thief? And then they come out here singing like if it's they conceptualize the thing and execute it. The new Demerara Harbor is only one of them. The Whale Shore Base is just another one of them. The Gas to Shore. But that's in nature. It's in nature of the people. It's in nature of the people. The AP also criticized Irfan and Pauline for their remarks about district councils. The American People's Association urged Ali to address grievances raised by indigenous communities transparently, address them transparently and respectfully. That's only one. This is why they didn't want Vincent in there, because they didn't want Vincent hearing the indigenous people, the Tushao talking the things. So they sought to push him out. Because Tushao Nikita Miller from Chinese landing in the Northwest District Region 1 has criticized severely the ban placed on her village. Tasawini. She criticized them. Could you imagine? There's a situation there. There are three. Mark, Michael, Raul, Shamila. They had imposed some minors on Tasawini. The indigenous people are complaining they are not getting the benefit of the minerals beneath their feet. And they complain not only locally, they complain to several international organizations, one of which ruled through the United Nations that what was happening there at Chinese landing, what was happening there at Tasawini, was discrimination. Instead of rectifying the problem, they ban mining on the whole, right? To penalize the people there for talking. And if that is not wicked, if that is not stink, if that's not dirty, I don't know what is. That is the PPP, wicked, stink, and dirty. And then they come there, lock away the two shouts, ain't broadcasting what they're saying because they don't want any negativity to get out there. You're only hearing from Sonia, waist. Right? You're only hearing from Cute Sulfi, another waist. Right? You're only hearing from Ben, big waist. We're the voices of our two shows. Nikita Miller said, everything not right at Chinese landing. Everything is not right there. It's one of the places I gotta go to. It's one of the places I have to go to. It's wickedness. That's gonna do it for us at this end, folks. That's gonna do it for us at this end. Some other things as we wrap up, we're gonna speak through. Some other things we're gonna speak through as we wrap up. Gail and Waveney, all the other folks joining us, a couple of the other things we want to touch on before we let you all go. Right? Before we let you all go. Freddie, talking about Beverly, alert from the Alliance for Change. Beverly pointed out some shortcomings of the GCOM quite recently. You're not getting too much voter education and all that. Election around the corner. But who tells Chief Seder he run out? Right? The PPP Chihuahua run out. Woof, 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 woof. He run out. Where was Beverly in 2020? Woof, woof. Where was Beverly? Life in this country started and ended in 2020. Started and ended in 2020 when you listen to these boys. Where was Beverly? Part of what he said. She said, Beverly falsely alerted us in 2020. That's the name of it. That's the head on his column. She falsely alerted us. When he write that paper talking about PPP discrimination, the same PPP that he got and hung up and touch up with, was he falsely alerting us? When he told us how they discriminated and violated Miss Ned, who we spoke about yesterday morning on our broadcast, when he told us that, was he falsely alerting us to discrimination in this country? He said, Beverly falsely alerted us in 2020. Woof, 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 woof. PPP little Chihuahua. He run out. White Ned, when he alerted us to how this sideline, overstep, bypass, White Ned for that promotion of the Ministry of Education and called them racist for it, was he falsely alerting us? When he told us how Afro-Guyanese have been diminished in the public sector in this country, was he falsely alerting us? But he ran out. Woof, 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 woof. PPP Chihuahua. All the place ready. Other things we're following this morning. Other things we're following. Remember we told you about this surging teachers in CSEC and Cape and so on? CXC said 54 students were caught cheating. 54 students. Right. Drivers caught on video, on camera. Wild drivers, some of them facing charges today. That's according to the traffic department. Wild, slow down. Let me arrive alive. As always, these never-ending contracts. One little piece of road could change contractors 10 times. They're looking for a new contractor for the Burpees River Bridge. They're on the hunt for a new contractor. Right. Then they hunt for a new contractor. And then one of the sexy top performers, remember to you about the three guys who flying high over the girls this year, Mr. Dwarka, Pradesh Dwarka, He makes a point that determination and dedication have fueled his success at this year's CSEC. Some of the things we hope we could have got into. And then, what is a day in Guyana without fire? Right? Fire destroyed a home and business at Nonpareil yesterday, a pillow and furniture factory. Destroyed at Nonpareil yesterday. Thoughts and prayers with that family. Thoughts and prayers with that family. Yeah. That's going to do it for us at this end this morning, folks. That's going to do it for us at this end this morning. Some of the other things we're following. First 15. The first 15 we think you ought to know about as you start the day today. Good to see so many of you on the live this morning. That's going to do it for us at this end. There's Albert, Yvette, Marcia, Waveney, Sharon Castillo, Lucille, and Debbie, and all the other folks. Good to have you there on the live this morning. Debbie, Waveney, Marcia. Good to have each and every one of you. Ingrid, Sharmila, Tracy, George. Good to have you, George Mars, on the live today. Stay safe, folks, and we're going to see you guys right back here on the next one. Please, if you have the opportunity, partner with us so that we can keep going. We're going to share that link. I'm going to share the link from my end. One more time, folks, so you guys can be part of helping us to keep moving forward. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're going to see you guys right back here on the next one. Stay safe out there. And there it comes. Yeah. That's it for us at this end. Have a fantastic day. Stay vigilant.